Zack Snyder, the uncultured god of the Snyder cult. You know bots love him. You know clinkers love him. They are his number one fan base. But why? Why is this under-talented, overrated edgelord so beloved by such a small minority of people, and mostly bots and clinkers? It is because his definition of edgy and mature is the same definition that a angsty 10-year-old would have. That's it. That's the thing. That's all he can do. This is the man who wrote a scene in the Superman movie where Superman is supposed to be the symbol of hope, and Jonathan Kent says it would have been better to let those kids die than to expose your secret to the world because the world's not ready for you yet. How is that a hopeful Superman story? How does that fit into the narrative? This is the man, the director, that said he wanted to make Batman kill because people said Batman's got a no-kill rule, and his response was, well, now I've got to do it. That's not a justifiable narrative. There's no absolute sane person can sit there and say, yeah, that's a good reason to make it Batman kill, to make Batman break his kill, and there's no kill rule. Especially when in that universe, the Joker is still alive. The Joker would be the first person, if Batman was going to start killing somebody, the Joker would be the first person that Batman would go after and kill. That's just facts. He wouldn't let the Joker live and start killing random fucking, robbers, criminals, whatever. This is who we're dealing with as far as Zack Snyder goes. This is the man who tends to have a proclivity to SA in his movies a lot. He went on the record saying that in his movie, Batman would be SA'd in prison. Who does what? Why in the world would somebody look up to somebody who has such a fetish for that kind of thing? And that leads me to the next part of my video. Here is with the purchase of Warner Brothers by Netflix, the Snyder Cult, the people who honestly believe that it was their doing and their doing alone, they got the director's cut of Justice League released to HBO Max streaming. They, in their mechanical heart of hearts, think that with Snyder coming, with Netflix buying Warner Brothers, Snyder is coming back to finish his Snyderverse DC movies. When the fact of the matter is that Netflix has been dropping some of these Snyder movies they made with Zack because they have been underperforming. They're not doing what Netflix thought they were going to do. They thought the hype behind this guy was phenomenal, and there was no beating that, no stopping that. And now it's nobody cares. Even the Snyder Cult doesn't care about his movies on Netflix. They only care about the DC stuff, and that's never coming back. And it is the sad, harsh reality that they do not want to face themselves, and so therefore they are deluding themselves, coping, copious amounts of cope, as I've heard the kids say today. into thinking that they will restore the Snyderverse. They will bring the second Justice League and the third Justice League movie to Netflix, and also Ben Affleck's Batman movie. Even though Ben Affleck, I said, he's not interested in movies like that anymore. That playing the Batman broke him, essentially. And it's a sad case, even though things that Affleck has come out, and I don't necessarily condone the actions. As a matter of fact, I don't condone them if they're true. But that said, that role broke him. It drove him to drink. It made him a worse person. But for some reason, they think if you give him enough money, they being the Snyder cult, that he will come back. He will do this all over again. And the reality of it is, Netflix and their CEOs have said that they are happy with the DCEU and they are happy with how that's going. And there has been no signs, no rumors, nothing about discontinuing the DCU, a lucrative, prospering new universe, to bring back a dead universe that basically almost ruined the name of DC characters and ruined DC and DC films for a lot of people. James Gunn and Peter Safran and the DCU have a harder workload on them because they have to repair the damage that the Snyderverse caused, and very few people outside of the cult want to see Snyder's universe return, because the man is a hack. He's a hack. He is a glorified director of photography. That's it. He has 3 tricks he uses in every single movie: slow-mo and a unheard of version of a song, or seldom heard version of a song, and I don't know what you would call it, grayscaling, almost no color in the movie, saturated, heavily saturated. That's his 3 tricks. That's it. That's all he knows to do to make a movie halfway interesting. And then his whole thing that started with Snyder cut of Justice League on HBO Max and continued over to Netflix with his 2 Rebel Moon movies is, oh, well, there's the studio version, but then there's my version. My version's better because there's director's cuts of both the Rebel Moon movies. Rebel Moon was to be a trilogy, or more so than that. It was supposed to be a huge universe, and they got 2 movies out. That was it. Nobody cared. And even with the director's cut, nobody cared about that movie. But that people will say he's such a great director. He's such a genius. Snyder is the blueprint, is what a lot of his cultists say. Bullshit. Snyder is a hack. Snyder thinks he is what Christopher Nolan actually is. That's it. I'm sorry. That's how it goes. I'm sorry. If you have been liking the content, please leave a like. Subscribe to the channel. Help me grow this. Help me grow it to be glorious. And also share with your friends. Share with your enemies. Curse your enemies by sharing this video. Do it. Do it. Until tomorrow. Bye-bye. So I wanted to jump back on here and stitch this extra thing that I forgot to mention when I recorded the first video of Zack Snyder being on Instagram now. He's got an Instagram account and he's posting pictures from all of his movies, which, fine, be proud of your work. That's one thing. But the thing his cult is latching on to is the fact that he has posted pictures from his Justice League movies, Superman, Batman v Superman, or Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, and Justice League. And it's the captions that catch you. The first one he posted was Henry Cavill as Superman from Man of Steel, but his caption is, Henry Cavill is Superman. You can't tell me, you cannot sit here and try and convince me that he's not doing it on purpose. He's trying to rile up his cult again. because he thinks they're going to make things happen for him. I'm sorry, I'm convinced of that. That is my take on this. He is doing shit on purpose to make them go nuts for his work, for him, for everything he does. He wants them to remember his name, and this is just another part of it. And now they've got the delusion that Netflix is dumping some of Snyder's movies that he made for Netflix itself to make room for Zack Snyder's Justice League Part 2 and 3. It's madness. It's absolutely madness. And I wanted to jump on here and this part, because I forgot to mention it the other day, like I said, please, if you are liking my content, subscribe, follow me on socials, comment, share, curse your enemies by sharing it with them. Okay, peace out.